this is Matt on the Moon Lambo channel. There's plenty of evidence to show that weak hands are jumping ship. Now, this is true across the board with XRP, Bitcoin, ETH. If there are any outlier exceptions, fine. But across the board, very broadly speaking, absolutely this is happening. There's all sorts of people capitulating. You know, they can't take the sideways price action as we've been range-bound for, for half a year at this point. We had a rather precipitous drop on August 5th. I'm sure you remember that one. And now we continue to get beat up. Bitcoin's not even at $60,000 right now. We've got XRP at 56 cents. And I'll just tell you this at the outset. My very strong suspicion is that those weak hands who are exiting their positions now, including XRP, I have a very strong suspicion that when this is all said and done, they're really going to be regretting that. That would be my hunch. That is my hunch. And there are reasons that I say this. I'm going to share with you a number of things that, frankly, I think are rather uplifting because people so frequently make things more complicated than they need to be. And also, all too frequently, people make, as I always say, important financial decisions based on their fail-fails. But before going further, I do want to be clear. I do not have a financial background of any kind. I am not offering financial advice. And you definitely should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. I'm just an enthusiast who enjoys making YouTube videos about crypto-related topics, but just as a hobby and just for fun. As I record this video, it is 7:37 p.m. Central Time, which is my time zone here in the good old Midwest of the United States. It's Friday, August 30th, 2024. We have XRP, again, as I said, 56 cents. Bitcoin at $59,432. Crypto Fear and Greed Index at 29 out of 100. So that probably doesn't surprise you. The typical lemming retail speculators are fearful right now. Weak hands are jumping ship. And that's certainly true with XRP. There are many people that are. That's true of Bitcoin. But like I said at the outset, it's broadly true across the board. And so I was watching this this podcast here from on-chain analytics firm Santiment. They posted this morning. And so I was listening to it this afternoon. And I have to tell you, and if you've been following me for a while, then you know that I'm a big fan of Santiment. They're an on-chain analytics firm, and although every now and then you can get an opinion out of them, they really keep things simple. You know the two primary things they look at? They look at whale behavior, and they look at basically social dynamics. So what's the sentiment in the world of crypto? And why do they do that? Why do they look at these two very basic things? Well, the on-chain analytics stuff, I mean, it's pretty clear. The whales out there in particular, they're the ones that that are, I'd say, the wiser investors. And so the typical lemming retail speculator, they get wrong-footed so frequently. And whatever the narrative is, and Santiment pointed that out in this video, and I've been saying this for years and years and years, like, whatever the narrative is, like, it's typically just wrong. Whatever the masses think, it's going to prove to not be the case, whatever the narrative is. And so at the same time there are narratives going, you see the whales behaving differently. At times where it makes sense to be bullish, the whales buy. They really do. And they'll take their crypto, their Bitcoin, they'll take it off exchanges. You can see the behavior. And then at times where it makes sense to be a bit more fearful, you can see that they go into distribution and they are selling. And you can see a flow of Bitcoin onto exchanges. And so that's why it's crucial to look at that. If you just kind of want a snapshot of what's going on right now, look at that. We don't need to overcomplicate that. They're typically right. Now, of course, it doesn't mean we can't have, in the very short term, a bit more pain. It doesn't mean that every single whale making every single purchase literally marks the bottom. I'm not asserting that. They're not asserting that. But it's in the time frame where it makes sense to think, okay, this is the moment. This is what this signifies. And so you can look at the capitulation, and they did say, this is one of the things that I found more interesting in this video, and it's in line with what chart analysts had to say. So, because I'm looking at all sorts of, I'm very interested in the on-chain analytics stuff, but I'm always curious as to what the technical analyst types have to say. But one of the things they said here, the Santiment folks here, was, it looks like, frankly, based on, if you're looking at the social scores here, it looks like there actually could still, even though whales are purchasing now, there could be a possibility for a bit more, to some degree at least, move to the downside, because we've seen at true bottoms frequently a bit more pain. We've seen them bitching up a storm more so on the internet than what we're seeing right now, to put it in very very simple terms, right? And so this whole thing, if you guys want to check it out, I mean, you can find Santiment. This is either at Santiment feed on social media platform X. It's worth a listen. It's close to an hour long, but it really just cuts through the noise. And so that's why when the price goes down, if you start to feel fearful, you should just ask what the whales are doing. Like, that matters. It actually does materially matter because they're way more frequently correct than the typical lemming retail speculator. And that's why it's highlighted, it's recognized. Like, Santiment's recognized throughout the entire world of crypto for good reason. In fact, there's this post from Cointelegraph. It was written by chart analyst Rakesh Upadhyay, and he even cited some of this stuff here. Take a look at this. Bitcoin has been trading in the lower half of its $55,000 to $73,000 range for the past few days, but instead of panicking, the whales and the shark holders have used this opportunity to accumulate more Bitcoin. Take a look at this quote. This is from market intelligence platform Santiment, and they're citing it in Cointelegraph. Over the past month, wallets with 10 to 10,000 Bitcoin have collectively accumulated 133,300 more coins, while smaller traders continue to impatiently drop their holdings to them. End quote. Is anybody surprised here? This is always how it goes, which is, by the way, I kind of laughed when they said something that I frequently say, because like this story right here, I frequently call it a tale as old as time. And Santiment happened to articulate it in the same way. They wrote, crypto's tale as old as time. Weak hands jumping ship. Yep, that's the right way to characterize. I'm not saying they copied me. I just happened to say the same thing as them. I've been saying that for a long time. But there you go. And then there was also this. So here's another post. This is from Nijin Tropic on social media platform X. It's a couple of the co-founders of on-chain analytics firm Glassnode. I'm a huge fan of Glassnode as well. Very similar in terms of the type of stuff that they put out. They don't lay on like too heavily the opinions. They say, here's data, here's what historically this normally means. And they mostly leave it at that, which I think is perfectly reasonable. It's fine. And so here they share this chart, net position change in Bitcoin. And look at the behavior here, which is important, by the way. Even if you care about XRP most, as I certainly do, it's my largest holding, you better care about this because Bitcoin does lead the market. And this is why, again, it makes all the sense in the world to just put all these pieces together and just come to a conclusion about what you think is most probable. And so everything I've been highlighting in recent days and weeks, and I tie it all together in my own mind to think, yeah, I do think that what's most probable is we're going to see a dramatic move to the upside before we enter another true bear market. But here's what Nijin Tropic said. When the market is weak, think like a short seller. Is now the time to short Bitcoin? Long-term holders stubbornly accumulating and negative exchange flows make shorting a highly risky matter. Our takeaway? Bad time to go short, good time to buy the dip. See, now that makes logical sense. Even if it's not the literal bottom, even if we do see a bit more downward price action, it's probably close here. And so they're citing here, long-term holders stubbornly accumulating. Now, there are certain like smaller individuals, and I say smaller in terms of quantity of Bitcoin held, who do act more so like whales. They hold for a really long time whenever it makes sense. And so it's just interesting that long-term holders, they're very clearly aligning with what the whales are thinking at this particular moment. Then there was also this post. This is from chart analyst Ali Martinez. He's also citing Santiment. There's there's very good reasons for them to be trusted because they're not even that opinion based. Again, here's the data. Here's historically what it means. And so Ali here wrote, seems like some major players bought the Bitcoin dip. On-chain data from Santiment reveals a 40,000 Bitcoin drop in exchange supply over the past 48 hours, equivalent to about $2.4 billion. This aligns with a notable surge in exchange outflows. And my friends, when people en masse are taking their Bitcoin off of an exchange, that's because they don't plan on selling it anytime soon. That's another good sign. Doesn't mean you can't see another drop in the short term. And in fact, chart analyst Credible Crypto does think that we may see just that. So here's the latest from him from just this afternoon. He wrote, while we could technically still push lower to my ultimate $53,000 to $54,000 target now, I think it makes the most sense for us to see some relief here first. We got a decent flush of longs on this move down, and there are a number of shorts above whose conviction has not yet been tested. Not sure if we get above prior highs or fall short of them, but looking for one of the two scenarios to play out before continuation back down to the final $53,000 to $54,000 target, and hopefully macro higher low. Assuming we get this bounce, I expect bounces across the board, which is why I've taken profit on all shorts at this time. And so yeah, so fine, he took profit. Mind you, he's a trader. Most people should not even attempt to be traders. Like so much data shows the people that are traders, they're the ones that lose money in the stock market, and the same human mistakes are made in crypto. So you do whatever you want to do. I just think that the best thing for the typical person, and I'm just a regular person myself, is to just hodl. And that's what I do. Regardless of the price action, I hodl. And I have been for almost 7 years now. It does work. It absolutely works. My crypto is worth so much more than what I paid for it. Doesn't mean that I don't have some positions that are down, because I purchased some stuff more recently, and some of that is. But I'm just saying, if you let time do the heavy lifting and the crypto pie gets bigger, I mean, come on. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure this out here. And so anyway, just a warning, he does think that even if there's some relief here, there's a very reasonable chance we are going to be seeing Bitcoin lower before ultimately a continuation to the upside. But he does believe that continuation is going to happen. And so I looked at what he said there, and I thought, that made me think, well, what did the sentiment folks just say in that podcast today? They said that, typically if you look at, the social behavior, typically you do see more complaints. You see more capitulation type of comments before marking the actual bottom. So I'm just noting things lining up. Take it for what it's worth. I won't be surprised if we go a little bit lower first before continuation to the upside. We'll see. Either way, the cool thing about my strategy is I don't have to change I don't have to do anything. I don't have to be fearful. I don't have to worry about any of this. My conviction is strong because crypto, it's clearly here to stay. There's this post from chart analyst Dom, and he says, Bitcoin, trend has broken, $58,000 support is becoming very weak. I wouldn't be surprised to see a sweep below and chop back up into the weekend. Either way, this isn't looking good. Sellers are in control. Now, I will note that he posted that this morning. So it's a pretty recent update, and so there's another analyst who says, in the short term, not looking so hot. But, of course, this doesn't change anything on a higher time frame. Here's a post from chart analyst Matthew Hyland talking about Bitcoin. Also, he says, just not expecting much until October/November based on election year history, as well as 2023. Very close now. Just need to make it through another month or so of choppy price action that scares both the bears and bulls. Yeah, and so nobody's had, neither the bears nor the bulls over this time period have been proven victorious yet. There's just been a fair bit of ranging back and forth. A lot of people getting scared. But there's no real need to be scared. I want to share this with you too, though, because I think that this kind of highlights it, and there's also kind of a funny joke here. So there's this post from Charting Guy on July 4th, and he wrote, just go in a coma until September 26th. You're welcome. And of course, the reason he posted that on July 4th this year is because he was expecting that you'd see a lot of choppiness, a lot of sideways price action. So then he posted this, I guess it was technically yesterday evening, last night. He said, tweeted this 2 months ago. Bitcoin was $59,000 that day. Same price today. Boring zone almost over. And so more or less what he was kind of expecting in terms of summer behaving like a regular summer, it's kind of come to pass, right? We're almost in September now, but he says, yeah, that's almost over. It's not going to do this forever. And of course, that's always true when you're in a range. Eventually the range breaks. Even though it feels like it's just going to go on forever, it does not. Ranges cease to exist. Things happen. Markets move. But the funny part to this is when XRP community member who goes by the name Third Eye wrote to Charting Guy, and he said, now everyone knows what it's like to be an XRP hodler. It's just like, yup. Your price shall not move. Ever, ever, ever again. Same for XRP. Feel the pain of the typical XRP holder with no price action for years on end, right? Well, because if you think, it's funny because, I mean, there's truth to it, right? Not that there's literally been no movement for XRP, but of course, it's been consolidating for 6.5 years. And so, yeah, we've seen some movement here, but we're still waiting for that big break. And it's like, now the rest of the market will feel our pain, right? But of course, XRP won't stay range bound forever either. Now, there are other things that are all coming together here, which you should also be aware of. And so, just put these pieces of the puzzle together with me here. And again, I'm not a guru. I'm just a dude on the internet. Anybody can do this stuff. You don't have to be some sort of wizard here. You don't have to be a chart guy. You just have to have half a brain, at least half. You got to have at least half a brain. That'll be enough. That'll be enough. Here's a post from chart analyst Mercury. This is a Bitcoin and global liquidity chart. So Bitcoin price is in black and global liquidity is in yellow, or maybe it's an orangish color. But I've been pretty consistently highlighting throughout the year the tie that the crypto asset class, in this case he's highlighted Bitcoin, but the entire crypto asset class, the correlation to price action in crypto versus global liquidity. And so again, here, fine, he's comparing specifically to Bitcoin, no problem. But if you have eyeballs, you can see why he's sharing this before I even read what he wrote here. There's a very, very, very real correlation. This is why you see 4-year cycles. Liquidity happens to be cyclical, roughly every 4 years. There's these peaks and valleys and peaks and valleys. It just keeps happening. And at the times when we're at these peaks, when there's more liquidity, that's when Bitcoin and the crypto asset class goes. Now, it doesn't mean that it literally lines up down to the second, the minute, the day, the week, the month, so on and so forth. But tell me you can't see that correlation. Come on. Of course you can. It fits pretty well together, right? Okay, so think about this. What have we been seeing in terms of price action for like the last half a year? What have we been seeing? A lot of sideways price action, right? What are we seeing here in global liquidity? Pretty sideways, right? Look, if you want money to be invested in Bitcoin and crypto, then there needs to be money to invest. Do you see why this matters? And so here's what Mercury wrote. More than just blind hope in 4-year cycles or obscure fractals, the best higher time frame bullish argument I've seen comes from Bitcoin price being reflective of global liquidity, which is moving higher and stalling the past 6 months. Well, wouldn't you know it? Global liquidity stalled, and so did the price of Bitcoin. So that's also why recently I've been spending a lot of time in videos where I'm talking about market behavior, highlighting all of the reasons that the analysts have been expecting liquidity increases. And you actually can see, like, this shouldn't surprise you. Like, again, it doesn't perfectly correlate down to the second minute of the day, so on and so forth, like I said. You have seen a little bit of a spike recently, right? And I've been highlighting all sorts of reasons, real-world examples of this, actually. And then all sorts of actual career finance advisors, so on and so forth, who speak publicly about this stuff, highlighting here's the reasons that liquidity should be increasing. So assuming that does indeed happen, number go up, right? Isn't that what we would think is probable, even though we can't know for sure, right? And this is happening at a time where we see that the whales are not fearful and they are purchasing. So doesn't it make sense that what's most probable, even though we can't know for sure, is that you do ultimately see a continuation, even if it's not right now like we'd prefer? I mean, I would say yes. And the asset class moves together, that is provably true, which is exciting. The whole thing's going to go. Now, the real opportunity is in altcoins, because even though directionally there will be that correlation, my God, the altcoins haven't gone on a run yet, so the multiplier they're going to have compared to Bitcoin, it's just not even going to be close. It's just not even, like, from here in particular, I fully anticipate XRP is going to put Bitcoin to shame. So we do need to see expansion. And so there is this post from the blockchain backer in which he shared his latest video this morning. And he said, in the zone, Bitcoin price chart and altcoin market meet the test of cycle time as catalysts near. And a key takeaway from this also is that there's something crucial that we're missing, that we're waiting for. It's for expansion in the markets. Small cap stocks getting snatched up. And we've seen some signs, but we need to see continuation of that. And because we've never had an alt season without that occur. So that's the missing puzzle. This is happening again at a time where whales are purchasing, though, rather than the lemming retail speculators. And it's happening at a time where you can see that global liquidity is on the rise. And we also know that after summers, typically that would be the time, especially in an election year, where finally, the fourth quarter comes around. That's historically when things heat up. So consider all of these. These are not complex things. All of you can understand this. You're all smart, right? I know you are. But the everyday person can understand this. It's just that most people don't have this knowledge, which is why I'm taking the time to go through this piece by piece, and I will continue to. Because I firmly believe that what is most probable to occur, and we're all entitled to our opinions, we do see that move to the upside. We just don't know exactly when it's going to be. But then you wake up one day and you do a double take at your portfolio. You're like, whoa. And then you can see that things have taken off. I've been through many of those moments in life. And they're fun. So I fully anticipate that is indeed what's going to happen here. Now, there's this post from Crypto Insight UK, and this is interesting. We spend a lot of time talking about XRP priced against Bitcoin and how it's been, for the last couple months, just absolutely XRP has been outperforming Bitcoin. Love to see it. And I said a minute ago, like, I firmly believe that XRP is going to completely just decimate Bitcoin for the remainder of the cycle. But it's also true against some other coins like ETH. ETH's had some movement, right, this market cycle. It certainly had some. Don't be surprised, especially at this point, given that XRP has been so suppressed, if it just dramatically outpaces ETH. I mean, who knows? Maybe it'll even be coming for that number 2 spot again. It's possible. It's not out of the realm of probability. I mean, it certainly could happen. So anyway, he wrote, XRP ETH, consistent higher lows. This is the big one now. Will the trend continue? XRP holders should be watching this like a hawk. Oh, I certainly will be. I mean, I have been. I just don't mention this pair as much. But especially as it continues to heat up, I'm sure I'll mention it as it's necessary to do so, as it makes sense to. But even just XRP pricing against Bitcoin is looking fantastic recently. There's this post from chart analyst Love Crypto. It's a short thread dating back to July 27th, and he noted, hey, you could see a continuation for XRP, but that is contingent upon Bitcoin behaving within a particular range, and obviously we lost that. So, as is frequently the case, Bitcoin sneezes, the entire asset class catches a cold because it's tethered together, and Bitcoin just does lead the way. And so Love Crypto on August 5th, and that was the bloody day. That was when markets just got decimated. Wrote, Bitcoin lost range, and therefore XRP unfortunately lost ability to continue its mini rally. Pay attention to the macro. I expect more pain to the crypto markets this month. Bitcoin has good support around $44,000 to $45,000. And mind you, Bitcoin got down to what? Was it $48,000 or $49,000? That's the reason he was talking about that range. And then he said XRP needs to defend 40 to 43 cent zone to remain in uptrend. Okay, and so since then, XRP has shown tremendous strength against Bitcoin, but also if you're comparing against the dollar. It's been looking pretty damn good, all things considered. And then this afternoon, he provided the most recent update, very short here, but he wrote southbound. So he believes there's more pain. And as I just highlighted, lots of analysts that I follow think that, yeah, you could see a bit more pain. And so he wrote, more pain in September, in my opinion. Q4 should be good. I keep seeing that. I keep seeing that from like just about every analyst I follow. What's more probable, and maybe you do see some relief at some points, but maybe you do. Historically, though, maybe I'll show you tomorrow, but historically, September's not good for Bitcoin. It's really not. If I remember, I'll show you some data on it. It's historically very bad. It's almost always a red month. But Q4 should be good. And we're in an election year. And historically, Q4 in election year is pretty damn good. So I think there's a lot to look forward to here. So lots of analysts saying very similar things. So you guys tell me what you think, but I think it makes a lot of sense to be an optimist here. I think it makes sense to be a bull here. We're in fear. You don't see markets end when there's a bunch of fear. Markets hit their peak when people are euphoric because the crowd always gets this stuff wrong. They're wrong-footed all the time. Peaks happen in times of euphoria. We've been moving sideways, and yeah, we're in fear now, but it hasn't been some 80% capitulation like historically we've always seen, and I doubt this time is different. Which is why I still firmly believe Bitcoin leads the way, moves to the upside. XRP eventually has a dramatic break to the upside as well. Hits a new all-time high, enters price discovery, melts faces. That's what I'm counting on. Let's find out together, because nobody knows for sure. But I'm expecting that that's the most probable outcome here. I'm not a financial advisor. You should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the moon, Lambo.